You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secured. Extraction complete.
Hi, this is Chrissy from the Final Fantasy XIV podcast, Wondrous Tales. Come hang out with us every other Monday for a casual discussion of what's going on in the community and some tips to improve your in-game quality of life.
Intelligence System Analytic Computer is activated. All ISAC systems are confirmed online. Data scanned. Downloading files.
What's up, guys? You listen to episode 135 of SITREP Radio, giving you the news and other happenings in the world of The Division. This week, we're discussing the new dev block that just dropped that talks about the skills in Division 2. But first, my name is Mike, and joining is my co-host, Luke.
Good evening.
There's no Robert this week.
No Mr. Hemsley.
This is like 2 weeks on the trot. What the hell are we going to do?
Did we sack him, or is he dead?
I did wonder, is it about time we make an official announcement that Rob has unfortunately been moved on shift for a couple of weeks? So he's going to have to miss the podcast, but hopefully he will be on next week's episode. He should be back to normal. Work's a bit busy for him at the minute. Anyway, hope you had an awesome week, Luke.
Yeah, not bad, thank you. You?
Nice. I had a pretty good week. Less illness in my house, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, you were all dollar flued up in your house, weren't you, this week?
Yeah,
last week.
Yeah, I'm the only one that didn't get the dollar flu. I think I've been like keeping it at the wall. So anyway, terrible. Sorry, dude. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully our listeners had an awesome week as well, and welcome to any new listeners of the show. Right, let's get down to some news.
State of the game.
So, starting tomorrow, or if you listen to this podcast today, November 30th, is 2 times field proficiency caches. That runs until December 3rd, which is Monday. And that's it. That's all the news for the Division. We did, however, get a nice slab of news about Division 2, Michael.
Which did come out today, which is the 29th of November.
Yes. Today, tomorrow, yesterday.
Hot off the press is a new Division dev blog, the third Intelligence Annex to be released on the lead up to the Division 2. To be honest, I've very briefly read through this. I know you haven't had a lot of time to read through this either, Luke.
I was reading it whilst you were finishing the script off, yeah. So this is fresh news.
So fresh, you haven't read it. So bear with us today. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot more information than there was in the last dev blog.
Yeah, this definitely took some digesting compared to the one about the True Sons faction, which is great. You know, we've all been crying out for a bit of juicy news to get our teeth into, haven't we?
Yeah, I must admit, it's nice to have like these little drops of information that are, you know, once a month, but
just trickle feeding it out just so your hype starts to dip again, and then boom, Intelligence Annex. Oh, let's go.
Just before Christmas. Now, me and Luke have been speculating. When do you think the Dark Zone news is going to drop, dude?
Oh, second week of December. I think they're just going to let this die down. This Intelligence Annex. I think they'll let the hype for this die down because, you know, there's some juicy details in this, and then bang, Dark Zone news. Let's go, and then they'll just shut down for a couple of weeks over Christmas. You know, like a lot of businesses do over Christmas anyway. So,
yeah, I can't see anything being dropped the week of Christmas because that's obviously Christmas. This has just come out. I reckon. What's the date? What's the 30th today? So I'm reckoning around about the 19th to the 23rd. We're probably going to hear some news on the Dark Zone. Yeah. Could be wrong, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, this is all based on Julian Geraghty saying at Ubi Day Japan that the Dark Zone news was coming in December. He may have had his wrist slapped since then and said, "No, we're not ready to put it out in December yet."
I actually thought you were going to say he may have had his fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, maybe he had his fingers crossed behind his back. Yeah, you don't know. We've seen nothing official since that Ubi Day video, have we, that Dark Zone News is coming. So maybe it's just a big, not really.
Just to keep you on the edge of your seat till we get there. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the Dark Zone news because there is no Dark Zone news just yet. We're here to talk about this month's devlog, which is discussing skills in the Division 2. So, seeing as Luke hasn't really read them, well, not really read them, you've very skimmed them, we're going to go over each one kind of detailed in the annex this week and give our thoughts, I guess. Okay, so the first one is an actual new skill. We've seen it before, but we're actually seeing a couple of different variants to this skill. So it's the Chem Launcher, and this time it's coming with Firestarter, it's coming with Riot Foam, which I think we've discussed before, and Oxidizer and Reinforcer. These sound pretty cool. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, what is it, the Firestarter we've seen definitely before in the trailers. That's the one that turns like into a toxic gas. You can set that one on fire, I'm pretty sure.
I think with the Chem Launcher, we've seen 3 of the 4, haven't we, in the videos and the demo and stuff, because the Firestarter is the exploding flammable stuff. The Riot Foam is the one that the enemies use something very similar, don't they, in the demo, which sort of like stops you in your tracks. It's almost like foamy stuff that then obviously sets and turns into almost like concrete or whatever, doesn't it? And stuff.
I think this is the first time we were actually seeing it as a division agent skill, though, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, which is a nice twist on it actually, because I did assume that it was just something that the enemies could use, a bit like grenade launchers in the first game. It's like, well, we've got a grenade launcher in the game, but you ain't having one.
Yeah, just looking at the other ones as well, you've got Oxidizer. Oxidizer fires a canister that emits a cloud of corrosive chemicals, and all I can think of is Pred Bleed on that.
Yeah.
The cloud lingers for a long time and efficiently eats away at the enemy armor or any mechanical items. That sounds freaking cool. But it also makes me wonder what enemy mechanical items are. Are we going to see like some weird division agent with mechanical arms? Not division agent, but like NPC.
NPCs, yeah. No, I've from that I take away that obviously NPCs are going to have their own versions of turrets and stuff, as well as obviously agents having them. But again, like the first one. So.
And then something I think we've been waiting for a while, the Reinforcer, which fires a projectile that detonates and disperses an armor repairing cloud. Med skills finally confirmed. We all thought it was going to happen. I'm pretty sure Marco Stahl said about this because he picked it up on the Division 2 website. I'm pretty sure it was like additional chemical modes. So this is actually confirming that. So if the powder hits you or your teammates, it restores an amount of your armor, not your health. And the powder that sticks on the ground grants armor restoration over time. You also have the ability to heal your friends very fast, or even yourself over time. How do you feel about med skills coming back to the Division 2?
Depends how they work them, because like you quite rightly said, it's armor restoration, isn't it? Not health. So, you know, if your armor's gone and you're getting shot at still, you're going to die pretty quick. We saw that from the demo. Once your armor's gone, you are squishy as fuck. So yeah, I mean, we kind of knew that some sort of med, quote unquote, skills were coming. I like that so far we don't know about any dedicated healer skills. They're all options within the skills, not just, well, here's a healing box that can do this version of healing or this version of healing or this version of healing. You're giving away something offensive by choosing something defensive. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the skills, and like Firestarter is a damage dealing skill for the Chem Launcher.
Yep.
You've got Riot Foam, which is more like, in my eyes, is more of a defensive measure.
It's like crowd control, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crowd control. So you're basically trying to stop loads of enemies running at you. Oxidizer is DOT, so
that's kind of a mix of both, isn't it? DOT. It's
yeah,
kind of crowd control because you're going to get rid of mechanical items or damage them, but with the damage bit of it, it's eating away enemy armor. So you could fire the Oxidizer Chem Launcher at the boss. start chipping away at his armor while you deal with a couple of NPCs, and then go back to the boss and take his armor pieces off.
Yeah, and then obviously the reinforcer skill for the chem launcher, which is a medic ability, is, you know, it's not healing yourself, it's healing your armor, which we know is vital from playing the demo.
Yep.
I really like the fact that they have these different types of variants for like a single skill.
Yep.
Whereas like, you know, Seeker Mines, they were pretty much all offensive. You know, you had, I'm trying to think, you had explosive Seekers, incendiary Seekers.
Well, you had one big exploding Seeker, didn't you? Then you had I can't remember what they were called, but it broke into lots of little Seekers, didn't it? Airburst or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Airburst.
Wow, how quickly you forget all the shit you played for 3 years.
Well, yeah, when you stop using Seekers.
Yeah, then there was the gas Seekers, weren't they? Which I guess are kind of like Oxidizer ones, where they were a bit crowd control-y-ish. And then I can't remember what else we got. I didn't really use Seekers a lot, so that's a really bad one for you to choose, really. I didn't.
Sorry, man. That's all right, but they're all kind of like the same, if you know what I mean. They're all damage dealing ones.
Yeah,
I know you obviously had the gas one, but it, you know, with the changes that were made over the life cycle of the Division 1, that basically became null, didn't it? With like med skills as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, something I think we've all been looking forward to since the first trailer of the Division 1. It's the drone. Now, the drone, when we played at Gamescom, was freaking awesome. Just to have like this little drone to help you on your way around when you're fighting NPCs, but to have multiple modes attached to that is pretty awesome. Luke, do you want to go over a couple of these?
Yeah, so with the drone, obviously when it's deployed, the drone will hover around over your shoulder and follow you around. Depending on what drone you equip, it will stay passively by your side until assigned, or you can, it will automatically target enemies or even friends if you use the Fixer variant. So there are 5 variants for the drone. The first one is Striker. Then there's Defender, Tactician, Bombardier, and Fixer. So Striker is the offensive version of the drone, which the drone will possess a turret that inflicts continuous damage upon its target. This drone can receive remote orders from the person in control. Defender is obviously the defensive version of the drone that will protect its owner by utilizing an experimental directed emitter. This deflects incoming bullets with microwave bursts. That's pretty cool. There's the Tactician version, which is Intel. So this will fly as high as possible and help spot enemies. So that's kind of like Pulse, I guess. The Bombardier is the bombing version of the drone. So that will fly to a designated area that you designate yourself and drop a barrage of explosives. And then the Fixer variant is, again, the med skill. And again, only repairs armor. It will repair your armor over time. And the person in control of the drone can choose whether it will fix you or fix your teammates.
Okay, so which out of those stand out to you? Because obviously Striker is like straight up damage. It's built for combat. It's doing its job. It's just going to continuously fire upon a target. And like the cool thing is that, you know, it'll either attack itself automatically or you can actually target it at the same time. I love the fact that target selection is a thing. It's just, you know, it's not just automatic if you don't want it to be.
Yeah, I like that variant on all of them, really.
But Bombardier? That sounds fucking awesome. Can perform a bombing run across a long area.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. To be honest with you, I probably wouldn't use this as an offensive tool. I would use it as a support tool. So you'd use the Tactician one or the Bombardier one. I like the sound of both of those. Obviously, the Fixer one's got its obvious advantages, but that depends who within your group is going to specify themselves as the quote-unquote healer. I'm looking at you, Boris. Because, you know, obviously you wouldn't want a Fixer drone and Fixer, what was it, the Reinforcer chem launcher at the same time because you're giving away too much, aren't you? So obviously team dynamics are starting to come into play already, and we've only talked about 2 skills. So
well, yeah, I mean, I'm a bit worried because like you have 4 people running Bombardier, and I'm straight up thinking you're gonna have that in a dark zone. That's scary.
Well,
right?
from what I can remember of the demo at Gamescom, the default drone version that you got on the demo was the Striker one because it would shoot its targets. Now, I played Sharpshooter every time we played it at Gamescom, and the one thing I've been skim reading while you've been talking as well, Mike, is that the Tactician version of the drone is the specialist skill for the Sharpshooter specialization. So that was obviously not unlocked in the demo. So I think it's great that they're giving versions of skills, a version of a skill to a specialization, and only that one can use that specific version, first of all. Second of all, I really enjoyed being the Sharpshooter. So if that's the version that I can use, the Tactician one, which basically gives me a pulse flying over everybody's head, I do really like the sound of that.
It just reminds me that, like, reading the information on that Tactician, whilst deployed gives you and your party continuous information about the position of enemies within your area.
Yeah.
Whilst effectively highlighting their location. It reminds me of Ghost Recon Future Soldier. You know, you'd get into cover, you'd throw up the drone. The only difference with that game is you would actually go into a camera on your drone. I kind of would have liked to see that with that skill, but it's not the same.
It's getting a bit close to the drones on Siege, though, isn't it? If you go put a camera on your drone, so
Hey, I've seen comments about that already. Like, hey, it sounds like somebody's been stealing drones from Siege, or like Siege or X Division players or something like that. Hey, players, agents.
It doesn't surprise me that they're quote unquote borrowing little bits from other games. They're all under the Ubisoft umbrella, aren't they? So of course they're going to be like, well, this is really good in this game, and this is really good in this game. So yoink.
I definitely agree with what you said about specialist skills. I like the fact, I'm pretty sure we've discussed this before, but the fact that we're going to have set skills or variants of skill, like I can't believe I'm saying variants of skills, are actually going to be tied to specializations. And this is, from what we know, this is just a few of the things, and it's going to be like dependent on who's running what in your team. I just hope it's worthwhile running different builds, not just because we want to, but because we're forced to as well. I know that sounds like quite a harsh thing, but like there's a lot of other games which you want certain build diversity to get through content. You want the healer, you want the DPS, you want the shield or tank player. So that's pretty cool. Looking at Defender there, that's really cool. If you look at the information, deflects incoming bullets with microwave bursts, creating an invisible barrier. That is sci-fi as hell, man. That is awesome. However, each bullet deflected greatly drains the battery and is incapable of defending itself from enemy fire. So that sounds like in a PvP instance, if you have like one teammate trying to shoot one person, you could have the other person trying to shoot out their drone at the same time. So when they think like they're okay because they got their drone out, they're like, nah, mate, we got you covered. We're gonna take you down your drone.
Assuming said skills are available in PvP.
Assumptions will be made. I'm sorry. It's funny, like for how much PvP I currently play in the Division, that's straight away where my mind goes. Not like PvE circumstances, but I'm guessing like NPCs, like we've seen them be more aware in the Division 2 from the AI in the game. They're going to be focusing not only on you, but I guess on actually attacking your skills at the same time. So, but that is, how did you even come up with that? That's really cool. And obviously, last one, Fixer, armor. Once again, I love the fact that it's not health, and you can passively repair your armor. So I take it it's just going to be stood next to you, a little bit like I swear one of them, the Defender, where it's basically protecting you with a shield. Instead of protecting you, it's going to be healing you slowly over time, I would assume, with that.
Yep. Again,
also,
I think it's great. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's great that you can tell it to go and heal, quote unquote, heal somebody else. Like if pop the fixer out, you can tell it to go and heal Rob up because he's done his usual Hemsley rando Calrissian bullshit.
I love the fact you've caught onto that.
Done his Leroy stuff, and then tell it to go and fix Rob's armor because he's about to die and fold like a cheap deck chair. Or you could just pop it and let it fly over your shoulder and fix yourself.
Yeah, choose friendly target whose armor needs repairing, including other damaged skills. So does that mean our skills can get damaged? So like you can have an EMP blast and you won't be able to use certain skills, but you can use that to repair?
Well, in Defender version of the drone, it's already said that it's incapable of defending itself from enemy fire, which in turn tells you that the enemies are going to fire at it. So you'd like to think that, one of the next couple of skills that we're going to talk about would get fired upon as well, just like it does in the first game, really. So,
well, is that meaning that it's basically going to effectively kill the cooldown time? So if you get a player or an NPC that shoots down your drone and you have somebody on your team that can fix that skill, does that mean it's like a straight away thing and the cooldown's gone?
I got it that it would help fix a skill that was damaged, not completely destroyed.
Right, okay. Oh, right, okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
I mean, I might be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, it could be like we've got turrets at the minute we throw down the division and they have the ability to be damaged, don't they?
Yes.
So it can repair them. That's cool. Okay, so next up, also new to the division, we've seen it a little bit before. It's the Hive skill, which is a group of advanced microdrones that deliver special effects to their targets. You can either place or throw the Hive, which I've seen most people do, and it looks pretty cool when it's done. And it basically attacks in a certain radius. It's primarily used for defensive measures. However, it now has offensive alternatives to suit all playstyles. And I love the fact that they're throwing in that word, all playstyles. I can't get enough of this. Okay, so the first one is Stinger. So microdrones swarm hostile targets and enter their range, inflicting both damage and targeting weak spots, destroying them efficiently. Restorer detects missing armor on friendly agents in its range and then deploys micro repair drones towards the agent on impact. And the armor is repaired. Booster, a little bit worried about that one. Sends out a micro drone per friendly player that administers stimulants to increase combat efficiency. Actually, that one sounds quite cool. It actually boosts weapon handling, movement, and other physical capabilities of the agent. That's kind of cool. I'm glad it doesn't say will boost health. And finally, Reviver. When deployed, the Reviver heal can revive allies within a specific radius on the ground. If any of your downed allies are within the range of the Revive Hive, you can manually order a set of microdrones to revive them. However, you can also press and hold the button to charge up the microdrones, and the longer you hold the button, the more health and armor your ally revives with.
That's a cool option on the end of that.
Yes. I like the fact that instead of just pressing a button and healing all your team, you actually have to be able to deploy a skill and you have the ability to kind of set what health and that they're going to come back with. Because I guess like if you can just throw that skill out, but then if you're under fire, that's going to like be that choice of, do I fight back so my teammates can get back up, or do I need to stay in cover a little bit longer so I can give them more health when they get revived?
So we've talked about 3 skills with 13 variants between the 3, and all 3 skills have all had a variant that is literally there to replace your armor for you.
I don't know. That one sounds like...
No, you've got the Restorer one. So you've got Restorer, which is replacing missing armor of the Hive.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
You've got Fixer of the drone, and you've got Reinforcer of the chem launcher. It just goes to further prove, like for anybody listening that's not had the chance to play the demo yet, just goes to reinforce everything we've been saying about how important armor is in Division 2. The second your armor's gone, that's it. You are going to fold like a cheap-ass deck chair.
Yeah. Do any of those stand out to you at all?
Do you know what? I when we first heard about the Hive, I thought it was going to be very offensive, but it's literally just the Stinger, isn't it? That's offensive. The other three are all like defensive or trying to boost your agent for this, that, and the other. So I think the Hive will be the go-to one for
support.
For healing.
Yeah. The booster one reminds me of, I can't remember the name of the skill, but the one where you go and it was the cover skill where you used to boost like handling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember? In the Division 1. It reminds me of that, and I can't think of the name of it now.
Smart cover.
Yeah, smart cover.
There was a variant in smart cover that took away recoil and stuff, wasn't there? I think, or certainly helped to control recoil. There's a lot of the smart cover ones where healing or additional armor and all that sort of bollocks, but there was definitely one that did stuff to recoil.
Well, it used to boost your stats, but then I'm pretty sure they ended up changing it to like weapon handling and stuff like that, didn't they? In the Division 1, something like that. So it's kind of funny that you're seeing old skills kind of reworked into a new skill, but doing the same, like a similar thing. But instead of having people use it in cover, which is quite clever if you think about it, it's something that you have to throw out there, or it's cool. I love this fact that even though it's a cover-based game, it's not at the minute, doesn't sound 100% like it's just get into cover, throw up your skill, and that's where you're going to be able to stick the entire time, especially with the AI.
The difference with that booster one is that it doesn't say anything about a radius. That the key on the booster is that it will send out a microdrone per friendly player. So wherever you are within combat, I guess, you're going to get this little boost. It might take obviously a bit longer to get to you if you're fucking the other side of the map, but it will find you, it will get you, and you'll get the perks from it. Whereas a lot of the other ones, you have to be within the target range of it, especially obviously the Reviver and the Restorer one. So
yeah,
I like that.
Also, per friendly player, I really hope that doesn't count non-rogues in the Dark Zone, because that's a lot of non-friendly players. Friendly players, sorry.
Again, assuming it works in the Dark Zone. But what I like about that then is if that's per friendly player, so we know you're still getting teams of 4 in most activities in Division 2. We also know that raids are going to be 8-man raids.
Yes.
So does the booster send out 8 if you're allowed to use it in a raid, or are you still split into 2 teams of 4 within your raid?
It depends how obviously the raid works out. I mean, I still like this idea of starting a raid, but you have the 2 teams start in different areas and you meet in the middle to kind of do, kind of progress from there through the raid. I like that, but depends. You might need 8 players just to get through the beginning bit. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. I wonder if that is the case, whether you're going to end up like halving the amount of time that skill's out, if you know what I mean. So you'll have that skill available for a set amount of time. I would have thought for 4 players, but it would instead be half that if it's 8 players. Luke?
Right, so the first 3 skills were all brand new skills. The next 2 are skills that return from the division. So the first one is those good old Seeker Mines.
Woo! Everybody's favorites are back.
There are 4 variants of the Seeker Mines. There is the explosive variant, there's Airburst, which you'll recognize the name of, there's Mender, and there is Cluster. So explosive is a classic Seeker Mine that will chase a target designated by the owner and detonate with a staggering explosion. However, this can be avoided, and there is a slight arming time before it explodes.
I just want to jump in there. I love the fact that they say, however, it can be avoided, because you could not get away from that in the Division 1.
I think as far as I can remember, the only Seeker Mines you could get away from in Division 1 was the airbursts, because they would always burst in the direction that the Seeker Mine was rolling as it burst.
Yeah. So then I'm pretty sure you had to roll over it, didn't you?
Yeah, basically roll at it, because they will go over your head.
I wonder if that's what they mean by it can be avoided. Quick, do so many rolls as quick as you can to get out of the way.
Could be. Or if you dive behind cover and it hits the cover, because it won't roll over the cover or whatever. Obviously, we don't know. We're speculating, but I like that. And the slight arming time before it explodes, that's something they borrowed straight from sticky bombs in the first one, when they put an arming time on the seeker mines. You remember?
Yeah, because they used to go off straight away, didn't they?
They used to, yeah.
But then they put like a delay in the timer on it. Yeah.
So the airburst variant, the mine will roll to your designated area and then launches an explosive burst into the air at head height of the enemy when reaching the proximity. So that's cool. That's basically straight out the first one, I guess. Apart from the fact that you designate the area of it, not it will find its own target for you.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting on the user, like on the actual game, how like to try and visualize. I can imagine that kind of being like a grenade, like the positioning of it, but it would roll out sort of thing.
Yep. The Mender is similar to the Reinforcer chem launcher and is a friendly seeker mine which will release repairing chemicals. These chemicals form a cloud that repairs your armor. There you go, your armor again, or that of your ally. If you have not chosen a specific target for the Mender seeker mine, allies that lose their armor are automatically targeted by the mine. This version of the seeker mines is tied to the the survivalist specialization, which kind of makes perfect sense, really. You know, survivalist, helping people survive. I like that.
Also, that little bit there at the end, allies that lose their armor are automatically targeted by the mine. So that is for you people that like every time your mine, cools down, you pop it and you're walking around with it, isn't it? It's just there for the minute.
Yeah.
To use straight away. So that's kind of cool.
And then last but not least is the cluster seeker mines, which contain a number of smaller charges in one package, each capable of self-propel. When deployed, each of the smaller mines picks a target and sets off towards it. However, these smaller mines are easier to avoid as they do not have room for advanced tracking equipment and cannot adjust their destination if their target moves. That's cool as fuck. I like that. That's quite clever that they've put that in because they're smaller. There's no wording for the tech. Yeah. I like that. So that's straight out the first one, but improved from the first one. They've obviously learned from the mistakes.
I'm going to be honest. Does that work in terms of technology, though? I mean, you've got a drone with nanobots, but then you can't fit a tracking device into a seeker mine. Tiny seeker mines. Sorry.
Tiny seeker mines, yeah. Come on, there's no room for you.
They're not nano, though. They're not nano seeker mines. If they were nano seeker mines. But yeah, it's kind of cool because a couple of those are like classics kind of coming back, and then the Mender's kind of to switch up. The Mender sounds a little bit like it's literally the gas seeker mine, but they've instead of causing damage, it's a healing skill this time.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah. Lastly, we're bringing back a classic with the turret. So we've got Assault, the Incinerator, and Shock. No, not really. Artillery and Sniper. There is no shock grenade. It's not shock grenades, shock turrets as far as we know yet in the Division 2. I gotta be honest, I expect that will make a lot of people happy.
Me included.
Yeah. I mean, I will use it. It's fair game if other people are using it, but it's cheesy as hell. Okay, so first up, Assault, similar to the Striker drone, is designed with offensive players in mind. So if you like swearing, we got you covered. It's equipped with a machine gun, turret, and 360-degree rotational capabilities. That on its own there is fucking awesome. The fact like you'd pop a turret in the Division 1 and you always had that one person that's like, why are you pointing it against the wall? You haven't got to worry about that now. It has 360-degree rotational capabilities, and it attacks the closest target to you whilst you're in combat. Outside of combat, you designate your turret's targets. That's kind of cool. So, like, you in the heat of combat, you throw it out there, it does its job. Or when you're like getting ready to go in combat, you can like target. That's really cool. I like that.
Yep.
Obviously, huge favorite. I'm going to say now, it means Firecrest is definitely coming back in the Division 2. We all know it. You've heard it here first. The Incinerator skill for the turret. So if you enjoy crowd control like we all did in the Division 1, this skill is for you. Equipped with an incendiary tank. That sounds awesome. I hope we get that, like a red tank, a small red tank on the back of the turret, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it ignites the fuel and fires it in a cone to deal a area of effect damage. This turret can be toggled on and off when deployed. That's kind of cool. I like the fact you can turn it on and off.
With the incendiary tank being part of that little write-up there, do you think that's going to be its weak point? Do you think you can make it explode like you can a cleaner?
That would make perfect sense. So they've actually given you an ability to get rid of that thing if need be. And once again, I'm thinking from PvP, but I would assume NPCs would also target that.
Yeah.
But is that going to explode and backfire on you?
I would guess so if you'd stood next to it, yeah.
If it does, that is fucking cool.
Yeah, that is cool, yeah.
Last for the turret's skill variants. Oh no, not last. Apologies, 2 more. Thanks, Luke. The artillery is a specialized deployable that launches exploding ordnances at locations of your choice. Firing once per press, shells are launched in an arc at their target position. This is the specialist skill for the demolitionist. That sounds like a mobile rocket launcher.
It's like a shell launcher, isn't it, from back in the day? They used to fire shells across the beach in like World War II and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
That's where mine goes straight away. But I mean, demolitionist is getting something else that fires explosives. So if you're not happy with a rocket launcher, you can have an artillery turret.
If you're not happy with grenades and a rocket launcher, we got you covered with other missiles. It might as well just say, the Big Daddy or something like that. And finally, Sniper. This long-range semi-automatic turret targets the same enemy that you are engaging. While there is a slight delay on target acquisition, the Sniper can adjust its aim to match your own aim on the target. That's cool. I wonder if that works in conjunction with literally a sniper rifle. So if you're targeting, it's going to give like a delayed second and then it's going to hit straight after.
Or double headshots.
If you can hit that delay, yeah.
That would be cool. I like the sound of that sniper. I'm not sure how effective it would be with the delay and everything on it. The artillery one sounds amazing. I was never that big a fan of the incinerator turret in the first game, so I'm not sure how much I'll use that in the second one. And then the 360 version of the assault, the 360 capabilities of the assault version sound pretty cool as well. But I think the way to go with that would be let your demolitionist have the turret and just keep firing those artillery shells over, just as like blanket the enemy, just so you if you get what was the drone, the tactician drone, was it the pulse drone, whatever it was called?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got the tactician drone telling you where the enemies are, and then you've got the artillery turret firing explosives at all the enemies once you figure out where they are. That's it. Just sit back and relax.
You're already pairing these skills together. I'm quite glad there's no medic one on there. That would just be weird. I don't even know how that would work anyway.
What, a medic turret?
Yeah.
Fires healing dots at you.
I did think like shoots you with a shit ton of bullets to heal your friends. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, most of these are offensive. Again, apart from the incinerator one, which I'm kind of glad that one is coming back. I don't feel like it's that much of a problem in the Division 1. I don't think it's as much of a problem as the shock turret. Whether we get the shock turret in the future or not, I don't know. Because, no, go on, dude.
I was just going to say, it's worth noting now that we finished talking about them that Frederick Thylander, or Thigh Panda as Rob likes to call him, did state on Twitter once the Intelligence Annex was live that these are not all the skills that will be coming for Division 2. What did he say? Let me word it properly.
I like the fact he had to state that, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't worry, guys. These 4 or 5 skills, it's not all you're getting in the Division 2. Don't worry.
So to quote him exactly, he said, today's post wasn't all the skills. Plenty more to come. And that's it. That's literally all he said, because he likes to tease us. But I mean, that's what did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 17. That's 21 different versions of 5 different skills. How much more have they got up their sleeve?
Pass. I mean, we haven't seen Pulse. There's no shield in there. I mean, are we going to get old favorites back? I'm guessing we're going to get some kind of shield builds, I would assume, in the Division 2. Whether it would be the same. That's like the only one that I can actually see coming back and being a thing. I'm going to be honest, I don't think mobile cover. I'm not worried about mobile cover coming back. It didn't really feel like it was a thing. But it depends. It's a different game. TTK is different. Cover is like more required. You need a lot more cover in this game. Maybe mobile cover would be worth it in this game. I don't know.
It could be.
I can't see it, but we'll see.
Two things I would say straight off the bat there is that if Ubisoft Sam, the app, was right and there is a 4th specialization,
dun dun dun,
I hope that's the shield. I'd quite like that to be a specialization. I think that makes sense with the rest of the specializations. The other thing is, with the amount of healing variants on 4 of the 5 skills that we've spoke about, do you think that categorically rules out a specialist healer skill? Because I do. I think that's it. I think if they're giving you this many healing options on the different skills, if they then give you a healing skill, it kind of rules out a lot of their hard work. I think that's a great move.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's going to be a case of whoever runs the hive, isn't it? Your hive is your support person, isn't it? So you don't need a dedicated healer, so to speak, because you would effectively having someone that has something to be able to do just as much as not a reclaimer, but close to that, but still has offensive skills as well. And you can change that on the fly. So
I think if you think about the raid, if it's a team of 8, I think you'd almost certainly want a couple of healing skills, wouldn't you? So like if you were to use, let's say, the Restorer version of the Hive, which will only heal your armor if you're in its range, it might then be good to team it up with the Fixer drone, because the drone can then obviously fly to you, whereas the Hive can't move, so you have to come to the Hive if you need healing, whereas the drone can come to you. So
the skill, I haven't played Destiny for a long time, but I'm pretty sure that in Destiny, is it Titan Bubble I can't remember if it can heal you or something like that, but that it's placed in one area. But that character isn't a healer. It has a skill that has an ability to heal and defend, and that's very much Hive like. And I agree. I don't know if I do want a dedicated healer. I think you will have dedicated healer builds, but I don't think you will have someone. I don't know.
Yeah, thinking about like the gear talents and weapon talents that we have now, almost certainly some of the brand talents or the gear talents or the weapon talents are going to tie into some of these skills. So it might for example, 5% additional efficiency on your Fixer drone if you're wearing this much of this brand or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I think if there's one thing I don't want to see, I don't want to see a DPS person with the ability of like healing themselves with 3 times. Do you know what I mean? Like 3 times the amount of stamina they've got, or the amount of damage that they're able to put out at the same time. If you're going to have healer builds, have DPS builds, and that's all they're able to do. I don't want to have a cross, like the strike. I don't want to have the whole striker incident that we've got.
Yeah. But think about everything they've taken away from us already. So there's no medkits, because medkits have been replaced by armor plates. There's, as far as we know thus far, there's no booster shot or whatever it's called, overdose. And as far as we're aware, there's no healing boxes. So that's your 3 primary sources of healing. Taking
that
away,
we know yet, mind
that we know as of yet. Yeah, I mean, obviously medkits are done. We know that because they've been replaced by armor plates. So the other 2 may come back. I personally don't think they will after seeing all this information today. That's a lot of healing sources gone and defunct. So the fact that you can get so many variants that will heal your armor or heal you over time, I think is going to be massively important. Again, going back to how important we know that armor is from playing the demo, it's you're going to need some healing variants within your skill makeup of your team.
Yeah, you also have to, I would assume it would be the same case with the Division 2, that if you are in combat, you will not be able to change certain skills or variants on the fly.
Makes sense, yeah.
If you're stuck with a hive on like offensive mode, you're not going to be able to switch it to a healing mode, and therefore your team could effectively be stuck for whatever your content you're playing through if you get bombarded with enemies. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. I love the fact that these abilities seem to actually, affect people's playstyles. And I'm really hoping that's going to give us way more diversity, which like everything they're showing us seems to be doing, but obviously until we get hands on the game properly, we don't know. Because it could just be a case that everyone ends up running the same skill, and I really hope that is not the case. When you think of like how much time and effort they've gone into try and make these skills, I don't know if they're better. Well, they must be better, but do you know what I mean? I don't want it to be this case where we're all running around with booster and a bloody med box, or pulse and a med box, or whatever it is.
No, I agree.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get the skills version of best in slot. But yeah. But a lot of this seems to be it's very obviously, with us being more in cover this time, in theory, with this game, you're going to be, I think, more reliant on your skills. Possibly. We'll have to see. Anyway. You happy, Luke?
Yeah. I think this has been certainly the most interesting of the three intelligence annexes thus far.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested to try out the three brand new skills and every variant of those skills for definite. Try and see what... Because ultimately, I wouldn't say best in slot of each skill, but almost certainly there's going to be some that are a lot more effective than others. So trying to figure out where the better versions are will be fun. Because, like you said, it's instantly changing the way you play the game. So every time you're trying to figure out where the better ones are, you're playing a different way, you're trying a different tactic, you're using different types of cover.
I think it depends on content and builds and what you're coming up against. I think if you've got certain content and also the game, if there's restrictions placed on the skills as well that force you to run other skills, if another member in your team is running that skill already, that makes more diversity in your team than everybody running the same skill. Like I said, we just have to wait and see. We got 4 months to go?
Yes.
Hurry up.
That silence was me counting on fingers, by the way.
No, I'm super looking forward to it. Right, let's get down to some questions. Sorry, guys. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've answered your questions, but we've had a couple of guests over the last couple of weeks, and we didn't think that anybody would want to sit around for 2 hours listening to the podcast with questions at the end. So we've held off for a couple of weeks. So thank you very much for sending them in. Anyway, so first question comes from Stonemel's G, and he says, just a thought, if you've been grinding the division for the last 2 years, the Fang shield should be your last shield with a challenge, right? It's all down from here. I finished all the shields except Fang. I need to log in for that, but after that, it's basically downhill. Nothing to grind for, I suppose. Only 3 that is left is the all exotics, which should be done because they're retroactive, we hope, and the 3 complete classified sets, and a 291 optimized build for February. So it's a sad moment for the division after Fang. Luke, how do you feel about that, dude?
I agree up to a point, because not everybody's going to have all the exotics. I get what Stone Mills is trying to say. If you've been grinding for 2 years, you almost certainly will have all the exotics. Us 3 fucking idiots have moved over to PC from PlayStation 4, so we started again. I'm still missing the leg warmers, the Colonel Bliss holster from my exotic collection, so I will need to grind for that. The The 3 classified sets, yeah, obviously dead easy, and the 291 optimized set, dead easy. But what you need to bear in mind is obviously we are getting towards the last 3 shields, which are the last 3 months of the life of this game. If you put something out there in the last couple of months that needed some serious grind, I think you'd be hit with a wall of salt. So I get why the devs have done it. I understand Stone Mills' point. It is a sad time. People like us that have obviously hardcored the game have not got a lot left to play for. But let's be honest, Stone Mills, a lot of us have played other games at the moment anyway, and just logging in to the Division to tick it over. Survival Saturday, for example, tick off bits of this and that, for example. So I get your point. I just don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing people go back and doing the level 1 to 30 again. I saw Chuck Cunningham. I know he's just restarted. He's trying to do it flawless. Good luck, dude. I hope everything goes well. And, you know, people are bringing their own content, making their own content from the game that's available to them at the minute. It's just been Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. You know, people have picked up the game. They know the Division 2 is coming out. They want to check out the game beforehand. I suppose the best thing you could do there is maybe like help other players in the community out, or, you know, just go run some matchmaking missions, start another character, go help some other people level up. And, you know, there's other ways, I suppose, to kind of give yourself more content. Definitely go check on Reddit. There's lots of people looking for help. I mean, that's something else you could do. But I understand there isn't that much to do if you've been playing this game for the last 2-3 years. But I also agree with Luke. If you chuck something out there now, I think people would be so done with the Division by the time the Division 2 comes out. You know, there's no break, and I kind of feel like that's what there's been. I know you've got a lot of new people, the hardcore players that are still around. They're doing the shields, and they're going off. They're playing Call of Duty, Red Dead, any of the new release games over Christmas. Then straight after Christmas, couple of months beta, and then we've got the Division 2. So not long to go, dude. Hang on tight. Next up, Snake762. What don't you want to see in the DZ for the Division 2, and what do you want to see, Luke?
What don't I want to see in the Dark Zone? I would say shock turrets, but we kind of ruled those out.
Shotguns?
OP shotguns, yeah, they can fuck off. If they're balanced right, shotguns definitely deserve a place in any game that's got realistic weapons involved.
Okay, let's be
unfortunately.
honest. How many games do that right?
Yeah, exactly. The chicken dance can go and fucking do one. I hope that's not anywhere near the Dark Zone. And then just the marathons that you used to have when you used to be chasing a rogue in the early days of the Division, when it was, let's go rogue and then run away.
No, I'm going to say it now. I don't want to see rogues running from one end of the map to the other end. I don't want that to be a thing again. I know it sounds like it's good. Like, when you look back on that with good times, it's like...
No. That's what I was saying. I don't want to see it.
Oh, right, okay. I was going to say, everyone has fond memories. Like, remember when we used to chase rogues from DZ1 up to DZ7? No, I don't want to see that.
Chasing rogues across the entirety of the Dark Zone map was terrible.
That's not PvP.
Chasing after rogues for some PvP was fine. Like, we'd be in one end of the map and somebody would flag rogue at another end of the map and you go and find them when the old squirrel sense used to tingle. That was great. But yeah, chasing them from 1 to 6 was a pain in the arse.
Multi-grouping, I don't want to see like...
Yeah, that's
do you know what I mean? I don't want to see 20 people versus 4 people. I kind of want to see like rogue status as a thing brought back and being meaningful again. If you go rogue, it's a challenge. That's it.
What I do want to see in the Dark Zone is some fucking good PvP and some really punishing time to kill. That's it.
Imagine if they got rid of armor in the DZ. TTK would be a bitch then, wouldn't it?
It'd be R6 levels of TTK.
Well, I had a pretty good time on R6 this week, so I can't complain.
Yes.
Stone Mills G, thank you very much for your question. It says there was some mention that they will be supporting the Division alongside the Division 2, and that they will not forget about the players still playing the old one. Do you think this is what the tight-lipped responses to the Central Park questions on Twitter was all about? A future update to it? Does it not really make sense to add a huge area just to a game where people have moved on to a new one? To be honest, dude, I think they will probably do what they did with Destiny 1, which when Destiny 2 was coming out, they basically said to the player base, don't worry, guys, we're going to keep Destiny 1 live and, for as long as we can. And I think that will be the same. That's what they mean by that. I don't think there will be any content support. I mean, that you might get a few emotes and skins, maybe you might get an update to the vanity stuff, but I don't think there will be any dedicated content to that game anymore. It just doesn't make much viable sense if you're trying to push like a new thing that is meant to fix everything that was broken about the first one. Yeah, Luke?
I agree. Well said.
Next question comes from Spanx One's Monkey. As the alpha test for Division 1 happened early December, with access to the Dark Zone, do you think they will follow a similar line as they release Division 2, the same as Division 1? And do you think this will happen before any news on the DZ is released so they can see how it plays?
No. And I'm holding Julian Gerrity responsible for that no, because he'd said we're going to get Dark Zone news in December. And so far we know nothing about when the beta's coming. So I'd like to think we get some Dark Zone news before we can actually play it. I'm hoping that that's true. Other than that, I think they'll take a lot of feedback from when we do get access to the Dark Zone in the beta. But depending on how late it comes, it might be too late for them to do an awful lot about what people have got to say anyway. Which, when I do sit down and think about it, does worry me a little bit. But, it's their game. I trust them to make it as well as they possibly can. And then, if things need rebalancing and quote-unquote fixing after release, they showed with the first game that they can flip the game completely on its head and make it incredible. So I have no doubt that they could do it to this one if that needs to be done.
Do you think the DZ needs to be on point on release to give the Division 2 the best possible chance it can at launch?
The problem with something like the Dark Zone is the players that will play it. Because the Dark Zone, when it first came out in Division 1, was insanely popular. And everybody was looking for that minute little bit of advantage that would make them the god of the Dark Zone. So the second that people get access to Dark Zone 2, they're just going to be, right, what can I do to break this? And what can I do to break that? And what can I do to get an advantage here, here, and here? So people are going to be looking for the next coward's corner. People are going to be looking for the next wall that they can break through when they're rogue. People are going to be looking for the next wall they can break through when they're manhunt and get back to the checkpoint. Do you know what I mean? So whilst, yes, I agree with you, the Dark Zone does need to be as close to 1 point as humanly possible, gamers are assholes and we're going to try and break it. So,
yeah,
the people making this game are human. Mistakes are almost inevitable. Do you know what I mean? I've got faith in them, but only time will tell, I guess.
I don't think it's just I just don't think you can cover everything as much as you can try. Like, life finds a way. Do you know what I mean?
Well, when you've got a QC team that's, I don't know, 10 people, 100 people, whatever a QC team is, quality control, it's not 4 million people trying it all at once, is it? So somebody somewhere is going to think of something that nobody else has thought of in the QC team and go, they didn't fix this bit.
Yeah, I think there's also the thing with, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's been whisperings that there's been like an alpha running.
Almost certainly,
Yeah. We're like 4 months out. I would be surprised if there's not. Well, yeah, it should be an alpha by now. I'd be a bit worried if not.
We all played the alpha at Gamescom and E3, dude.
That was a portion. It's not.
I know.
I think it's difficult with the Dark Zone. But what worries me is we're like 4 months out for the release of the game. I think I'm worried about when the beta is going to release, because you've got, look at Red Dead Redemption 2 online, but it's in beta. Is it a beta, or is that what you're calling it so you don't get shit off your player base because things are going to go wrong? It's not quite done yet. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. I just hope it's in a decent state on launch. But the other thing as well is like, how much time from a beta to the launch of the game do you have to fix stuff? And I know they must have people working around the clock to sort a lot of things out, but is there enough time to change anything at that point by the time we get a beta?
I guess it depends how close to being perfect the game is at beta, doesn't it? You know, Battlefield 5 pulled their launch back because the beta was, by all accounts, pretty poor. I've not played the game since the beta to find out if they fixed it or not, but I wouldn't want them to release a beta late and then have to pull the release because I've already booked my holiday time in for March. But
rip,
you know, I wouldn't put it past them that if, you know, these are the type of developers that would do that if it needed to be done.
We've said that though. Yeah. I'm pretty sure a long time ago we said, like, if it needs to be fixed or sorted before release, we'd rather see that than a 1.4. And yeah, I'm not going to go down they must have learned from everything else again, but you know, I've got faith, but it does worry me. What is the point in a beta test? Is it just to test the amount of players that are going to be on the servers, or is it to actually fix stuff with, like, check stuff with the game?
I think most games nowadays just use a beta for testing servers, don't they? There's not a Battlefield aside. A lot of games just go, well, here's the beta, test the servers. If the game itself is broken, we'll fix that with day one patches and whatever else. But
are you talking about any game in particular at the minute?
No, not at all.
Fallout 76 by any chance? We're really sorry our game is broken. You know, I don't want it to end up like that. I really don't. Okay, last couple of questions and we will get out of here. Stonemails G, do you know if they will bring back the special Christmas boxes at the vendors for the Santa clothing? I'll go back for that. I need me some red fluffy outfit. I haven't got that on PC, I don't think, so I'd be on board because I got that on PlayStation.
I'd be on board, and to be honest with you, I'd be surprised if they didn't bring them back.
Bring the Christmas jumpers back.
Christmas jumpers, Christmas weapon skins, Christmas beanie hats, you know, Santa outfit. I expect it all to be back at the vendor. I don't think there'll be any new stuff. I think it'll be exactly the same as what we had before. But if it doesn't come back to the vendor, I'd be more surprised.
I'm trying to think, would they give us a Grinch costume? That would be awesome.
I'd like to see new costumes, but I'd be amazed if there was new ones with only 3 months left at that point.
The question is, do we get the Christmas costumes in the Division 2 next year?
No, you're going to get a special swimwear outfit for being on the beach in summer, complete with surfboard.
You get a sweet pair of Julian Garrity shorts.
As long as they're not budgie smugglers.
Yeah, it's weird thinking like a year from now, we would have already played the Division. Hopefully, if it doesn't get pushed back.
Dude, a year from now, it's fucking November, dude.
I know, but I'm like, this time next year, we'll be down the road.
This time next year, we'll be finished with the game, scratching up, waiting for more content to come out.
We'll be waiting for the next Battlefield game to come out.
Waiting for the next raid to come out.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, final question of today comes from lsl1.uzi, and he asks a few questions about the dev blog today. Question 1, are you sad to see the pulse skill didn't make a return? No. He said it seemed like one of the most reasonably realistic agent tools. I kind of agree with that.
I do agree, but as we said when we were talking about the drone, I think the tactician drone will replace the pulse. So it's not gone completely. It's gone as you know it, but it's not gone completely. And I think you would need to be more tactical with the tactician drone flying around, which I think is what we want, right? More tactical.
Thing is, we don't know for definite yet either. I mean, it could still be in the game. I think they're also kind of trying to get away from these damage buff skills. I could be wrong, but I think it's better to have a skill that works alongside you than actually boosts everything. Like weapon handling is a bit different to boosting all your stats and your damage output and things like that. And he follows up with a question that says, did Massive get too unrealistic in their selection of skills? For example, advanced battle AI, automated real-time target tracking, green healing clouds. Clouds were already pretty far-fetched concepts, but the microwave force field seems really far out there. It's sci-fi. I kind of agree. Why didn't we get this in the first game? But I suppose you kind of have to ignore that. But the fact, I don't know. We have like basic versions of the skills. It could be like these are a certain wave of agents, and we're a different set of agents, like a higher up, where you get access to more gadgets. I don't know. What do you reckon about the far-fetchedness, Luke?
I'd just stick to the sci-fi bit and try not to look too deep into the game, to be honest with you. I agree. I mean, a lot of it seemed quite far out there. Like you say, the green healing clouds and the automated real-time target tracking and, you know, stuff like Pulse was all pretty far out there. And yes, a microwave force field that blocks bullets does seem a little bit out there.
I'm just thinking, like, it depends if it actually shares a world with the rest of the Tom Clancy universe, because like they've got some pretty far-fetched gadgets in Ghost Recon, Ghost Recon Future Soldier, freaking Rainbow Six. You know, they've got some pretty far-fetched. So I mean, it's kind of the same. It depends how realistic I know they kind of wanted to have a realistic concept on it, but it really does depend. He says, I asked that because it's fair to say that Division story, new military concepts likely weren't being developed during the timeline between Division 1 and Division 2. So question 3, what would be the lore explanation of agents not having access to force fields during the Manhattan deployment? From a story aspect, wouldn't it make more sense for agents to be deployed with the same equipment as before, with only 6 months between the timeline? Yes, they sound awesome, but they also seem out of step with the game. Thanks for reading, and GG gentlemen. Thank you very much for your question. I definitely understand that point of view. It's like these wild ass skills have kind of come from nowhere compared to the first game. I suppose from a lore point of view, it could be like our agents are actually sent in and have time to collect stuff like that. Whereas if you saw on the intro of the first game, it was just the people amongst the agents seem to be amongst everybody else, and it's just what they had on them during the outbreak, I would assume, in comparison to that sort of thing. Maybe these agents were actually sent there opposed to what actually happened in New York.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Maybe they had a bit more time to collect some stuff.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say is obviously now that we're going to be based in DC, maybe they've got access to a little bit more equipment than what the agents would have in New York, because as Mike rightly says, they were civilians that were ready to be deployed as and when they were needed. So
you get that with companies as well, don't you? You'll have like the main base, which has everything, has all the gadgets, and then all like the little offshoots are like, yeah, we don't have the budget for you to have that. So it could be, there's just no budget for the lower tier agents, or maybe the higher tier. I don't know, but yeah, I do hope there is something in the lore. Maybe we'll find out in the Extremis Malice comic book, which is coming out soon.
Yeah, I hope we find out in game 2. I wouldn't want to keep running around here, there, and everywhere trying to find the lore that could all just be collated nicely in one place. But as long as the lore is out there, we'll figure it out eventually, won't we? So I'd definitely be up for the lore explaining it, Uzi. That's definitely something I'd be looking for.
Be quite cool if you're like. It depends how they go with the story. If it's just you're a person stood there, or it's like a host of a natural story and host of characters this time, and it's like one of the characters is developing, these skills, as like enhancements for what was already in progress to be built or something.
If the Doctor in the first game can work on a cure, try to work on a cure, I'm sure somebody with some military background in Washington, D.C. can work on a drone that uses a pulse as opposed to the pulse. So,
Well, it's a mobile version. It saves the agent.
Yeah, it's not completely out the realms of possibility. I mean, yes, the microwave force field is perhaps the extreme version of what is possible whilst you're undergoing warfare or, an end of days sort of apocalyptic event. But, as long as the lore is there and the lore itself is not too far-fetched, I'd be on board.
I suppose I was just thinking, I suppose it depends how far the virus stretched as well, because I can't off the top of my head remember right now how far it stretched after New York, but it could be life moves on. People continue doing the day-to-day elsewhere outside of something happening in the world. There could be something happening across the other side of the world, and we're still going to work, which means people could be making this stuff and researching it within that 6 months. There could be prototypes. These could just be prototypes being made for the game for the agents. No. Anyway, that's enough. Thank you so much for your questions this week. Robert's not here, so unfortunately I'll have to ask myself where the listeners can find us. You can find us over at SITREP Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, as well as our personal accounts. Send any questions or feedback for the show to sitrepRadiopod@gmail.com. Oh my God, I did a Rob this week.
SITREPRadiopod@gmail.com.
SITREPRadio@gmail.com. Or you can find us on the Discord. The links will be in the show notes. We do like to hear your thoughts on the news and topics we cover, so please be sure to leave a comment and join the discussions in any of those places.
As Mike said, please leave a review or comments of the show using a podcast app of your choice. We really do enjoy reading all of them. The feedback is excellent, and at the end of the day, it does actually help other people find our show. If you're brave enough to listen all the way to the very end of me and Mike fucking this up, you will hear all the juicy details about the other awesome shows that are available on the Mash Those Buttons network. Thank you.
We do live stream as often as we can, so if you're interested in dropping by and chatting with us whilst we play The Division and some other games like Rainbow Six Siege, I'm currently playing Rainbow Six again. Red Dead Redemption 2, however, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to play that game, so I've still got 70 missions left. You can find us all over at twitch.tv/SITREP Radio. Luke.
Mike.
This is episode 135.
It is. It was.
It's been. Thank you very much for joining me, dude. Thank you very much to everyone else for joining us. We haven't got long to go. 4 months. What is it? Roughly around episode 150?
Ish.
That's how much longer we got to go. We have been SITREP Radio. Thank you so much for listening to us. We will catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for choosing a Mash Those Buttons podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to subscribe to one of our shows, you can find us on multiple podcast platforms across iOS and Android. Just search for the show on a podcatcher like Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts and hit subscribe. If you can't find us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, just go right to the mashthosebuttons.com website, grab the RSS feed, and put it into your podcatcher of choice. If you want to check out some other podcasts you may enjoy, you should check out mashthosebuttons.com/shows. For World of Warcraft fans, we have 2 podcasts, WoW Talk, which is our news and community podcast, and The Torn and the Goblin, which is our lore and story podcast. If you enjoy Overwatch, make sure to check out Watchpoint Radio to keep up with the latest on Overwatch and its community. If you enjoy fighting games, make sure you check out Double Tap for the latest in the FGC. If you're a fan of The Division or looking forward to The Division 2, make sure you check out SITREP Radio. If you want to keep up with the latest at Mash Those Buttons, you can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/mtbsite, facebook.com/mashthosebuttons, and youtube.com/mashthosebuttons. We'd also like to have you join our Discord community, so just go to discord.me/mashthosebuttons and join us for a chat. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secured. Extraction complete.